let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment in your life that was just so strange, so perfectly weird, that it made you wonder how things really work? Well, today, I've got a story for you that does exactly that. It's all about a flight, a mad dash to the airport, and a time that just shouldn't have been possible. And those aren't my words. That's a direct quote from the man who actually lived through this. It really sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? Because we're not just looking at a series of events today, we're stepping right into a personal memory, a mystery that's been puzzling him for 20 years.
So, our story kicks off not in a state of panic, but in total calm. The setting is Guwahati, at the famous Kamakya Temple. But for our narrator, a temple wasn't just a place of worship.
Yeah, you see, he looked at temples through the eyes of an artist. He was there to appreciate the human touch, the incredible architecture, the sheer hard work that went into building it. This is a really important detail because he wasn't there looking for a miracle. He was just there for the art. Okay, so here's the basic setup. This all went down about 20 years ago. You've got 4 friends hanging out in Guwahati. One's a local, and the other 3, including our narrator, are visiting from Delhi. It's the last day of their trip, the day they're supposed to fly back home. With a little time to spare, our narrator and one of his buddies decide to go check out the Kamakya temple. And once they got there, they were in no rush at all. They were just soaking in the whole vibe, feeling this really deep sense of peace. They wandered around, sat for a while, and completely lost track of time. They stayed way longer than they meant to. You know, it's that perfect calm right before everything is about to go sideways.
And just like that, bang, the peace is absolutely shattered. A phone rings. It's their third friend, the one who's also supposed to be on that flight back to Delhi. And let me tell you, he does not sound calm.
The message is pure panic. You're gonna miss the flight. Get here now. The flight is at 13:40. That's 1:40 in the afternoon. All of a sudden, their chill temple visit has turned into a full-blown travel nightmare. So here's the heart of the problem, right? Our narrator and his friend were absolutely sure their flight was at 14:40. That's 2:40 p.m. But their buddy on the phone is insisting, practically screaming, that it's an hour earlier, at 13:40. Somebody is very, very wrong. So what do? Well, they do what a lot of us would do. They talk it over and decide, hey, there's 2 of us, and we both remember 14:40. He must have misread the ticket. They just figured their friend was freaking out over nothing. So they stayed cool, calm, and completely stuck on their 14:40 timeline. But that confidence, yeah, it was about to completely evaporate. The peaceful morning was officially over. A frantic, desperate race against the clock was just about to begin. They casually hop in an auto rickshaw to head back, still not too worried. But the scene they arrive to is intense. Their friend is furious, not just a little annoyed, he is livid, and he's holding the proof right there in his hand, the actual physical airline ticket. In his own words, our narrator said, "We panicked." But the Hindi phrase he used is so much more powerful. It literally translates to something like, "Our hands and feet swelled up," which just perfectly captures that feeling of total, paralyzing fear. And there it was, printed in black and white, no room for argument. Departure 13:40. Their friend had been right the whole time. They had made a massive 1-hour mistake, and now that mistake was catching up to them, fast. There was no time to think, just pure reaction. They scrambled, throwing whatever they could into their bags. And remember, this is a time before ride-sharing apps. You couldn't just tap a button and have a car show up. They had to run out, flag down an auto rickshaw, chuck their luggage in, and just yell at the driver to get to the airport as fast as humanly possible. As they're racing through the streets, this feeling of complete hopelessness just washes over them. In their heads, it's already over. They're picturing themselves getting to the airport entrance, and the staff just shaking their heads and sending them away. The flight is gone. They finally pull up to the airport at 14:20, 2:20 p.m. Just to be clear, their flight was scheduled to leave at 13:40. They weren't just a few minutes late. They were 40 minutes past the departure time. I mean, it's an impossible situation. But this is the exact moment where the story takes a sharp turn, from a simple story about being late into something way, way weirder. What happened next at that airport? Well, it just doesn't make any logical sense. This is the real mystery of 1440. So they get to the counter, completely defeated,
and hand over their tickets, just bracing themselves to be told off. But instead of turning them away, the airline staff looks at the tickets, sees the time, and immediately kicks into overdrive, rushing them through check-in, hustling them toward security with this insane sense of urgency. And then, the staff says something that just doesn't compute. "Your flight's boarding has started. Go quickly." Boarding? How could it be boarding? Their flight was supposed to be in the air 40 minutes ago. It made zero sense. There was no time to ask questions, they just ran. Through security, sprinting down the terminal, all the way to the gate, they practically dive onto the airplane. And the second they're in their seats, they hear the cabin door seal shut right behind them. They were the very last ones on board. The plane pushes back from the gate, taxis to the runway, and takes off. The entire experience, from the moment they got to the airport to being airborne, was just a complete blur of adrenaline. In all of that chaos, our narrator didn't even have a single second to look at his watch. But now they're safely in the air. The panic is finally starting to fade. He takes a breath, lets the adrenaline wear off, and he just casually glances down at his wrist to check the time. And it was exactly 14:40. Just let that sink in for a minute. The flight, which was officially scheduled to depart at 13:40, somehow, against all odds, ended up taking off at 14:40. The exact same time that he and his friend had been so stubbornly, so incorrectly sure about all day. It's like the universe literally bent itself around their mistake. And that's what it all comes down to. The question the narrator has been asking himself for 20 years. Was this just a one-in-a-million crazy coincidence? A flight that happened to be massively delayed in just the right way to match their wrong belief? Or was it something else? Some kind of power, maybe connected to the very temple they just left, that reshaped reality to fit what was in their heads? What do you think?